Let us try to understand the characters in Pygmalion. As we have said earlier, characters in a novel can be innumerable, but in a play, the it needs to be limited for the practical reason. The first thing is that any play is written for the performance. It needs to happen on the stage. Naturally, it has got many limitations. Whereas in a novel, there could be innumerable characters because everything everything happens in imagination. For example, suppose if there is a war on the stage, if you want to show it, it has to be shown. It needs soldiers, it needs war equipments, it needs a battlefield and many other things. Disham. Hmm? Create war atmosphere. While in a novel, one should need only words. So, friends, play is actual happening, whereas a novel is happening in imagination. Pygmalion obviously has number of characters. These can be main characters, popularly called as, or they can be secondary characters. The main characters are here in this play are Eliza Doolittle, Professor Higgins, and Colonel Pickering. Minor characters can be Mrs. Higgins, Mr. Alfred Doolittle, that is Eliza's father. Let us see the important characters first. The first one to take is Eliza Doolittle, who is the heroine of the play, Eliza, or Miss Doolittle. You can call her by any name, and it is the same person. She is the main character in Pygmalion. Do you not think it? Do you not think it is a surprise that the main character can be called by any name? I mean, by these three names. At least to me, it is a surprise. In our country, India, poor people or the poor class of the people name is just a ritual. We recognize them by their jobs or by their profession. Like that, it is here, she is a flower girl who lives in a poor England. She obviously belongs to the poor class of society. She is known by her job, a daily work she does. A flower girl, Eliza Doolittle. She is so insignificant that she becomes a subject of Professor Higgins and Pickering and their bet. Actually, though not well educated in formal education, she is a sharp witted person. She is a person belonging to a strong character. Under the teachings of Professor Higgins and Mr. Pickering, she learns her lessons quickly and passes as a lady belonging to the upper class. In Act number 5, she says that she cannot go back to her earlier life and cannot sell the flowers on the street she once liked to sell, because she has learnt now a new way of speaking and manners of a rich class. On the contrary, Mr. Higgins feels that she would forget all that she has learnt from him in just few months. Eliza, an independent lady. She is an independent lady who do not want to be in control of anyone, including her father. She wants to cut off from men, and the end of the play is rather kept ambiguous because she leaves Professor Higgins. She leaves Professor Higgins. Professor Higgins thinks that she will return to him, but no one is sure that that will happen. Perhaps, perhaps Professor Higgins thinks that rationality will keep her away from him, but love will bring her back to him. Character of Eliza makes one think about the importance of freedom in women's life. This can be seen in continuation of Ibsen's thoughts in a play like A Doll's House. In a play like Doll's House, Ibsen Bernard Shaw, through his character like Candida, like Raina, not Suresh Raina, and Whitefield, has tried to give his perspective about women freedom. In general, one can call about femininity. When she is introduced in the play, we find her we find her dirty looking and with a sailor's hat full of dust. Mine is not dust. And and dirty shoes, speaking in a Cockney accent. There is nothing in her attractive to men. Shaw tells that she could be between 18 to 20 years of age. Her her hair needs to be washing. She wears a black coat like it reaches up to her knees. Shaw writes she really needs a dentist service. Thus, she is presented as a poor girl. One can mark that Eliza is poor, but she is intelligent. She is an ambitious girl who wants to progress in her life. She knows what kind of English language she speaks. She wants to break away from that kind of English language. She speaks and learn the sophisticated English language, which will help her climb high in the society. Maybe it will give her a job in some flower shop. Though she is ambitious, it has got certain limits. She wants just to move away from a street to a shop. She is very clear in her dealings with Professor Higgins. She is not ready to shell out more than 1 shilling for learning her own language. She even tells him, take it or leave it. Professor Higgins accepts to teach her as the bet with Colonel Pickering, we find Eliza to be hardworking girl. She is quick in understanding Higgins' teaching, and finally, she becomes an expert in whatever he teaches her. Shaw presents this girl as a very sensible girl. We find she feels bad to know how she has been used as a tool to their experiment and even feels bad for her transformation. Because, because she knows she cannot go back to her past, like sell the flowers, and cannot speak like she used to speak in that Cockney accent. She is quite aware of the fact that she sold flowers and not herself. That is why she dares to say at one point that it is nothing else but it is a prostitution at a different level. Though she was more than a student to Higgins and Colonel Pickering, she always was receiving shocks from Professor Higgins. Shocks. Here I don't mean any electric shocks a mad person usually gets or usually receives. But she was worried about Higgins' behavior. She is always angry with Professor Higgins because, because he always considered her a flower girl in spite of her transformation. More than that, he felt that her transformation is only because of him. He perhaps fails to understand that Eliza too had her role solidly played to understand his teachings. So she shows learner is also is very important. I remember here what Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, President of India, former President of India, had once said, a bad student cannot learn even from a good teacher, but a good student can learn even from a bad teacher. These words of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam talk about the goodness of learning, goodness of a learning child. So Eliza was a good learner. She has a great respect for Colonel Pickering. She admits that it were Colonel Pickering's words that were the beginning of a self-respect for her. That is why we can say Shaw has created her as a bold, independent, clever girl. Eliza's journey can be understood better by knowing that her transformation was from a thing. It was from a thing of a stone, of nothingness to an exquisite noble lady. If we can see that behind her horrible talk, behind that mud-filled attire, behind that sort of rawness, there lays a great work of art. She is full of native intelligence. Only, only the outer covering needed to be removed, which was removed by her teaching, and there she was, Eliza Doolittle. Like Candida and many other creations of George Bernard Shaw, Henry Higgins, oral speaking, we are talking about Henry Higgins now. Oral speaking, Henry Higgins seems to be a pack full of contradictions. He is sort of a mama's boy who does not like women in general. Or we can say he does not understand that obviously. Because in the end of the play, Shaw has successfully made us believe that he seems to like Eliza and perhaps is waiting for her to come back with the ham and the cheese and also a pair of gloves specifically of number 8, a matching tie to his new suit. The whole list he utters to her and perhaps expects her to come back to him, though it is not made clear by any way, but there is some kind of a expectation. The ending situation shows that he is involved in her. The ending words that she will buy them right enough shows his inclination and even in what way she will react to it. Henry is gifted, talented, educated, but he is not easy to pin down. Usually, Bernard Shaw gives all the necessary details of his characters. That is why, humorously, it is said Shaw's prefaces to his plays are longer than sometimes his plays as well. He is fully aware of the fact that what he wants to say, and to what extent he would say it. So we see Shaw writes in manners varies from general bullying when he is a good humor to stormy petulance. When anything goes wrong, he is a malice free, frank, and likable. First, we see him on a street, secretly taking down some notes of the sounds reaching out to him. He seems rather a detective kind of a person and tells Eliza that he has capacity to tell from where the people come just by listening to them. He has mastered phonetics and different languages. Its tones, dialects are part of his regular study, or can say research, if you like the word. He shares his life philosophy. He shares his life philosophy with Colonel Pickering and even tells him that he can transform this flower girl, Eliza, with a proper accent and speech pattern to a duchess or to a noble lady in high society. As we progress in the play, we find him we find him to be more complicated because of his attitude towards women. He always insults Eliza and is a strict master like person who to her he almost assaults her twice in a play. This gives impression that though he is a scholar in phonetics, he fails basic human nature of being just good to the other human being. He even tells his mother, Mrs. Higgins, that all the young women are idiots. His comparison to all women as blocks of wood, calling Eliza a garbage. All tell about him that he picks women as if he can pick up a pebble on the beach. Higgins is not a fool either. He is stubborn for everything. For everything, he has some justification. His high minded philosophical side looks appropriate, but even creates doubt about his behavior. He talks about social equality. He talks about social equality and the importance of language in it. He seems to be mouthpiece of playwright himself sometimes. He fails to understand Eliza as a human being. She is merely a tool to prove he is given to him for experiment. He fails that there is a soul and a mind she possesses. Without any remorse, he insults her. So it becomes very hard to pass any kind of a judgment on Higgins. We develop a sort of love. We develop a sort of love and hate relationship with him. Eliza too might have developed the same kind of a feeling for him. He is not Mr. Perfect, but can be made, of course, with love and belongingness. He idolizes Mrs. Higgins, his mother, as the epitome of womanhood. That is why that is why he seems failing to understand Eliza. Professor Higgins is is an is an unconventional man who loves to go opposite to the society in most of the matters he does not follow. He does not follow any public norms and is very impatient with high society. But at the heart, he is extremely a good person. This trait is something that holds on people to him. He obviously is a protagonist of the play and can be considered as as a rude man from general point of view. He is a cynical person, but possesses a very good heart. In short, we can say that Professor Higgins outwardly looks like a coconut, but he has a very soft heart within. Like Kokni person, it is said, कोकणची माणसं साधी भोळी, कोकणची माणसं साधी भोळी, काळजात त्यांच्या भरली शहाळ. Professor Higgins, by no means, is a simple person, but he has a golden heart. Anyway, thank you for watching this part as well. Please subscribe my channel DMS Underlines and share the video with your friends and ask them also to subscribe. I hope whatever I have been saying is of some use to you from the examination point of view, because that happens to be my purpose of creating all these videos. Hopefully you are making or you are taking benefit of this, and you will do in exam, and hopefully everything is good. God bless you. Thank you very much.